if we
You took a very, very strong stance. Those who don't know, Genesis B, she, as she said earlier, she's always fighting the Confederate ideology and the symbolisms in Mississippi. Mississippi, which is the first thing I want to talk about, is Mississippi is like the from what I know, Mississippi is like the melting pot for racial tension. You know,
the belly of the beast.
Yeah, it's like the cornerstone.
What up, nigga?
Right. Now you good. Keep doing the shout outs. It's dope.
Okay.
Yeah. And you a pivotal moment where you grabbed the noose and you put it around your neck, and you also burnt the flag on stage, and that gave you a lot of attention, national news, blah 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 blah. But that don't really mean shit because
I did not burn the flag. I did not.
You did not burn the flag. The crowd did.
That's false information that newspapers printed about me.
Got you. See, I'm glad
a lot of that went on. It's okay. That's why I'm here. That's why I can speak for myself.
I'm glad we cleared that up. Yeah, I mean, I want to know what was that experience like? What was the moment where you decided to do this? Why, and you know, how did that feel? You know what I mean? Because it seems like it would be an explosion of so many emotions.
Bruh, it was so crazy. So I not retired. I put in what do you call when you like quit your job? Resign. I resigned from my job at the Ace Hotel, Fifield, Breslin in 2016 March. I resigned. I had a full-time, dope-ass job as an event coordinator at the Ace. I resigned and said, you know, I just want to do my art and activism full-time. That was March of 2016. April 2016, my Governor Phil Bryant at the time, says, April is Confederate Heritage Month. We are celebrating Confederate Heritage Month, and it's all over the news. It's all over the news. And I get pissed off. I'm like, why are we celebrating Confederate Heritage Month? These are the same people who brutalized and tortured and raped and terrorized our people, other American people. So I got mad and I bought a Confederate flag and noose from Amazon. I didn't know what I was going to do with that. I knew I wanted to eventually, during the month of April, do something with it. I had a manager at the time, Roanne Mesereau, and she was booking me these shows. She didn't know what I was going to do. Nobody knew what I was going to do. But I had 2 shows that month. One opening up for Mobb Deep and Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson and Mobb Deep were the headliners. So I went and did that show. Some things got messed up with the show. There was some folks fighting, and it got, you know, violent and shut down. I couldn't do what I kind of wanted to do. So the last show in April was at SOB's, Faces in the Crowd. And I only had like a 6-minute set. I had a backpack with the flag and the noose. And I say, I'm going to bring this backpack on stage. Still nobody knows except my brother, Israel. He was living with me at the time. He knew what I was going to do. So I perform a song called Donald Trump or some song y'all never heard of. I never put it out. I just performed it that one night. And I took the noose, I put it around my neck, and I had already cut a hole in the Confederate flag, and it draped. It's a full body drape. And I hold up the noose, and I hold up my fist with the mic, and someone snapped a picture. I was dating this girl at the time, Imani Saida, and after the show, she was like, I've never seen you like that on stage. It was like you were blacked out. She was like, I never heard your voice, like your voice changed, the look in your eyes changed, and it did. I did black out. I don't even remember. I see the video, you know, the video and like the documentary that was put out, like I see myself on stage. I don't remember. But the owner of the club or the manager of the showcase got really scared because I did take out a lighter and I threatened to burn it. I was like, should I burn this shit? And the crowd got really excited and was like, yeah, burn that shit. And he got really, you know, so I decided not to burn it because that's dangerous to other people there. You know, I was never going to burn it. It was all theatrics.
Right.
But I did throw it into the crowd and say, y'all tear this shit apart for me. Y'all tear, and that's on video. And they did. They tore it apart. The picture of me holding the noose with my fist up. After the show, I went on Facebook, and this post still exists. I say, after tonight, nothing will be the same for me. The next day, that picture went viral. It just took off. And there's all these threats against me. There's all these people, The New York Daily News picks it up. Breitbart picks it up. It was just explosive. And next thing I know, I'm on ABC News with Ingenue Ellis. Ingenue is a famous actress. She was Nat Turner's mother in Birth of a Nation. She's in Quantico, The Help, Undercover Brother. She's Sister Girl. But she's from Mississippi. She's from Macomb, where we call it the Gulf Coast. That's where we're from. So her and I teamed up that year, and everywhere she was, I was. She was like, yo, I'm going on Roland Martin show. There I am right next to her on the Roland Martin show. You know, she really like scooped me up because she was like, okay, we're fighting for the same cause.
Right.
So that's how that happened from start to not even to finish, because then there was a documentary where I went back down to Mississippi to confront the people who was attacking me online. That documentary is called Confederate Pride, White Supremacy, and My State Flag. If y'all want to watch that, by the Moral Courage Project. And that documentary did extremely well because it showcased the civil discourse that we started around humanizing the issue of the Mississippi state flag. And bro, it's just been on ever since then. That was 2016. I've just been on the road and touring and speaking about my state and trying to educate people about civil discourse and how to really come together and listen instead of fighting online and like all of this trash that goes back and forth online. It's just disheartening, you know?
Right. I mean, that is the epitome of legacy, and I could automatically already hear a line being drawn between your grandfather, your father, and yourself. You know what I mean? Even the experiences of being attacked, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and watch the documentary because I feel like that's important, you know? Especially with what's going on right now. A lot of people have been allies, like we talked about earlier, always asking, what can they do? What can they do? What can they do? And the most important thing, as you said, which I totally agree, is educate yourself.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand how far the reach of systemic racism is. They think it just like started and ended with George Floyd. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, it's like, no. I've been telling
way back.
I've been telling my white friends I've been black for 34 years. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I've always been black. I don't know if y'all, but so it's definitely something that's important. So I want to take this time for you to educate people on that history of the Confederate flag and what's going on right now, because now it's popped back up in the news after recently in April during the coronavirus situation. They kind of slipped in another Confederate Heritage Month with the governor. Now it's popped back in where it's at the forefront and statues are being brought down, and your fight is coming to fruition, you know?
Yeah. It's still really fresh to me that the surrounding states are starting to bring down the Confederate monuments. I think Alabama just sweepingly just brought it down out the blue, like overnight, a couple nights ago. And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that. And like, Mississippi has always been different from the rest of the states in the South. It's always been the most brutal. Like when the Freedom Riders was doing their Freedom Ride, you know, the coordinators told them straight up, like, whoever decides to go here, you could die. You will probably die. You know, like those were the conversations that were being had because Mississippi was just notorious. The two young Jewish guys who came to set up literacy schools, Michael Schwerner, Andrew Goodman, and Cheney, the three guys you see in all the history posts, they were a poster, they were missing, like they came down, they were just taken out, no problem. Mississippi is always the most brutal. So I can't say that I have hope that tonight I'm going to go to bed and wake up and all of the statues in Mississippi are going to be gone, or that my state flag is going to be changed. Mississippi's always done things different. I don't think the power structure in Mississippi will concede without force. And I really pray that that's not true, because I really don't want to go to jail. I really don't want to get killed, but I don't think that they're going to concede without force. And I pray they prove me wrong. I hope right now, today, there's an article that came out saying that Mississippi lawmakers have shown earnest today to try to get the state flag changed. And I have hope. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, because I don't want to be brokenhearted again, but it's like they're still soaring. I'm like, yo, what if? What if I wake up and that shit is gone?
Right.
Sorry, I just get emotional talking about it. What it stands for, what the Confederacy stood for, was they fought against the American government. They wanted to keep their right to own slaves. There's a speech called the Cornerstone Speech, and they were launching the Confederacy, that speaks about Black people, and what they say about the Negro, or whatever they're calling it in this, is that their highest potential is that of servitude. This is what they based the Confederacy off of. And yet you still have people, ignorant people, who don't read the history. They just listen to what their grandparents tell them and say it wasn't about slavery. It's not a racist symbol. No, the whole basis of the Confederate ideology rests on this foundation that Black people are only worthy of the dignity of servitude as a slave. This is our lot in life. This is what we're made for, is to serve white people. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that Mississippi is 40% Black, and there's racist statues up, our state flag has the Confederate emblem in it, and I'm talking about on public property that we all paid for. Our tax dollars paid for this shit. It's unacceptable. It's a non-negotiable that it changes. Like, I can't rest until it changes. And when it does, to be honest, I'm probably just gonna leave America and go enjoy my life somewhere else. I'll just be like, okay, I did my part.
Right.
So after the Civil War, like during Reconstruction and all that, Mississippi was 80% Black. So when the question of the Black vote came into question, and they're like, oh, these people might get the chance to vote and they're going to outnumber us. What's the solution? This is when you had the exodus of Black people from Mississippi. That's why when you go to Chicago, all your Black friends are like, oh yeah, my grandmother is from Mississippi. You go to Harlem, you go to Los Angeles and Compton, it's like they're from Mississippi, because there was a mass exodus. And the reason all the Black folks left Mississippi was because they were being terrorized. They were being, a little boy could steal a loaf of bread and he's going to jail for life. Now there's sharecropping, where they say, well, you don't have anywhere else to go. We'll give you this little cabin on the land, but you need to work for your stay. Back into slavery. There it is. They found ways to keep people in servitude, and those who tried to get their own land and all that, they just killed them. And they knew that you're just going to get killed. You're going to get lynched. Women are going to get raped. Our ancestors were raped. They were brutalized. And I say it like that because it's the truth. Because they needed that 80% to go down before people got a right to vote, because Black people are the majority. They couldn't have that. So when you say KKK and terrorism, that's exactly what the KKK was. Strike fear in people so that they'll leave and kill off the rest until we're at where we are now, which is 40% Black, which is the highest amount per capita in the nation. And yet our state flag has a Confederate emblem on it. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's insane. It's insane.
Right. Insanity. Insanity, how important that symbolism is and what it stands for. And I don't understand how we're still having this fight, you know. I feel like this should have been dealt with, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people, not only in America, but around the world is waking up and just now starting to wake up.
Yeah.
But on that note, I want to go back to our previous conversation. Now, how does that feel? To know that people are starting to wake up, and to know that this is a conversation, and to feel like you have people riding with you now, you know?
I've always felt very alone fighting for things in Mississippi. Not alone because I don't have collaborators here who are fighting for the same thing, because I do. Shout out Poor People's Campaign, Mississippi. Shout out WJZD, Mississippi Rising Coalition. You know, there's organizations who are fighting. I don't mean alone in that sense, but alone when I travel and tour around the nation, that people, they're fascinated and by the romantic aspect of fighting here in Mississippi, but they don't really want to help. They don't really care about Mississippi. It's just always an afterthought. There's like America, and then there's like Mississippi, and we don't really belong to America. We're like our own little sovereign place, and people just don't really care. Like, you know, why would they care about Mississippi? So I've always felt alone. But after seeing what's happening now with protests calling for the justice for George Floyd and other Black people who have been killed and maimed and paralyzed by the police, and it's worldwide. I know it sounds weird, even if they're not thinking about Mississippi, it still feels like they're with us. And it's still, because like the Mississippi leadership is still seeing that and being like, feeling that pressure from that of like, whoa, like there's a lot of pressure. Like, what if that happened here? Like, what if 40% of the fucking population, excuse my language, 40% of the population started rioting here just because we have our safety? And it can happen. And that's why I said earlier, it's like, I pray that they make the right decision, because I can't say that there's going to be a peaceful resolution if they don't change that flag soon and take these statues down soon, because we're all seeing what I and my collaborators and Mississippians are all seeing what's happening in Alabama, in Florida, in all these places where these statues are just being, people are pulling them down, you know,
pulling them down. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
To my knowledge, I'm not saying no one's done that here yet. There have been some instances, but like, I'm telling you, man, it's just like, I just want them to do the right thing. Like, put it in museums. Like, Germany took Nazi memorabilia and put it in museums where it belongs, so people can learn from history. They put the truth in their school books. Elementary school kids can tell you about the Holocaust, and it's not whitewashed. It's like real. Right. Absolutely. And they take those kids to speak with survivors of the Holocaust, and they make it a dialogue about how we can do better as a nation.
Exactly.
You know, reparations. They did all that. What's America doing? Nothing. And I'm just saying, it's like, how much indignity can you place upon a people and then expect them not to fuck shit up? Right. It makes sense to me. You know, people are like, hey, Genesis, why you not calling for the end of the riots? Why you not using it? That shit makes sense to me. I want to fuck some shit up.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, we all sense a bubbling that's going on right now. Right. And a lot of emotions from being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back for so long. And it's, you know, the pot's bubbled over, you know what I mean? A lot of what we hear is they should be peacefully marching, and then they use Martin Luther King as a caricature, which I cannot stand, because it's like Martin Luther King got assassinated, and he was a revolutionary. He was not, you cannot make him a cartoon. Yeah, and he was hard body. Like, he wasn't this cartoon that they create him to be. You know what I mean? No, he was a real threat to the system. And they killed him. Exactly. And so all of these, I feel like all these dialogues are really important to where we're at, because people are waking up to what has been going on for so long in America and the trauma that Black people have had.
No
for so
doubt.
long. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And now you're seeing it in anger. What I really fear is that we will go through this time and it'll die down, and then we have to wait till it happens again to go through it again, because that has been the routine that we have seen constantly over and over again with allies for a time being. And we even see people be allies just because it's cute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really do believe, that's why I say I really believe the work that you're doing and continuing to do is so important, because you're on a marathon. You know what I'm saying? It's not a sprint. It's definitely a marathon, you know?
Yeah.
And with saying that, and almost to, man, I don't want to say contradict, because it's all synonymous. Earlier you said how love is a form of strong resistance, and love is a power to fight what's going on. And love sometimes can be violent, and especially in these situations, you know what I'm saying, when you're fighting for others' freedom. And you started People Not Things, and that's been a foundation that you've utilized to get your message out. And I really want to have you expand on it, and how you believe that we could transition from this moment in time to move past it. Like you said, let's just say the flag did come down, which is what we're all going to pray on, you know?
Thank you. Y'all send up your energy for that, for sure.
Absolutely, because I feel like that would be very monumental historically. It'd be very monumental. What would be the next thing? How would we rectify the past? How would we move forward from then?
Yeah, I think we look to other countries and nations. There's this very great documentary called Where to Invade Next by Michael Moore. It's called Where to Invade Next by Malcolm Moore, where he goes to these nations, and granted, most of them are European, you know, I will put that out there. But we need to look all over the world and learn from nations who are getting it right, who are getting healthcare right, who are getting prison reform or prison right, who are getting reparations and atonement right, like I spoke about Germany. I think South Africa and other African nations have a lot to offer in terms of what we can learn from them. I think America needs to learn. I mean, we just need to learn. And that's for myself too. Like, I'm privileged as an American. I've never have to really think about other countries unless I want to, you know, so I carry that privilege too. And I think when I say people, not things, a lot of times people think that I'm saying people over profit, which is like part of it. But really what I'm saying is people are not the labels that we ascribe to them, whether it be black, white, rich, poor, gay, straight, trans. Like, these might be, I guess, attributes of people, but all humans are complex humans who are deserving of dignity. So when I say people, not things, I mean people are not things. Mm-hmm. And when we start to look at people as things, that's how you get exploitation in a capitalistic structure, because you're looking at people as things to be exploited, not humans to be honored and respected and extended rights to. So that's what I mean by people, not things. So we have to start doing a lot of unlearning of the biases that we're taught from the church, from our communities, from the media. They all instill these biases in our brain that keep us divided from each other. Even the concept of black and white. And I'll say this straight up. There's no such thing as a black person. I ain't never seen a black person in my life. Y'all know what the color, this is color black. I mean, there might be some folks whose skin tone is like that, you know, not overlooking them. I've never seen a white person. I've never seen a person who look like that. These are all constructs. And we all play into it. This race, that race. There's no separate race.
Right.
We are Homo sapiens. This is a species on Earth. It's Homo sapiens. There's no such thing as race. This is constructed as as a way to justify the exploitation of another people.
Exactly.
This isn't taught in our schools, bruh. I didn't learn this until I like some of my Audre Lorde radical black feminist homegirls was like, you know, think bigger. They taught me to think bigger. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how come that's not being taught to the construct of racism being taught to every single child in America? That's what I mean by people, not things. It's the unlearning and relearning of human history. Because if not, these same structures, patriarchal, capitalistic structures, are going to continue to use our differences as a way to divide and conquer us. And it's not just race, it's class, it's sexuality, it's all of these differences that make us uniquely beautiful. All these differences in different cultures, like with the, excuse my accent, y'all, I'm preaching to the choir, I feel like, you know, like y'all know all of these different cultures that are meant to be celebrated and learned from. Instead, we degrade and exploit.
Exactly.
So people, not things, and excuse my accent, I feel like it's saying the same thing. So that's what we work towards. And healing the earth. Because without healing the earth and looking the way that our ancestors worshiped the earth and understood the power and beauty of earth, we have to get back to that too. So it means unlearning a lot of things, because without the earth, you know, we're gone. There's no people or things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're definitely fighting the same fight. You know, a lot of the things that I say is, I feel like in our education system, our education should represent the people, the melting pot that we've created called America. And so that should be reflected in every class and every course. And if we're able to actually take the time to learn about each other, you know, then maybe we could be raised with a sense of empathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
My mind way back when, but we on now, and I ain't look back since. Let's get my